How's it rockin', Dween Nation? This is the Dween Sports Podcast. We're about to get underway. But before we do, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, or share. We are posting weekly sports content, and we want to build up the brand that is Dween Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy.
Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Pius, alongside Genoa Agudelo. And as you can see here on our shared screen, we are doing our first tag team mock draft of the offseason. And we're doing it to commemorate the NFL Combine. It started today as of when we are recording. We had some defensive line show up today, linebackers and edge rushers. Tomorrow's more defense. And then Saturday we get quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. And then we end with O-line and tight end. So, offenses this weekend, defenses the next couple of days. And we're here to predict we're just here to have our first mock draft. It's so exciting. We loved to do it last year. And we are going to make this a thing. We want to make it every week until the draft happens. We will have a mock draft played out, what we think. We'll start with 1-round mocks, and then we'll kind of move into 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. But we have a vast draft knowledge, and we're ready to put it onto 32 teams, put players on the 32 teams. But before we do, I want to ask how my brother Genoa is doing.
Yo, Dween Nation, Justin, I'm doing great. Hey, it's officially a start of a new season now, Justin. Once you see the combine, once you see, everybody, in Indianapolis, every year it happens. You see the 40 times, you see what the bench press is. If you're a wide receiver, a skill position player, even a corner, you're doing, all the catching drills. And so once you see that, Justin, you just know it is a new NFL season because, Justin, we are bound to get some fresh talent. I know everybody out there in the fantasy football world is wondering, who's going to be that next Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase, that next, even Derrick Henry, Saquon, right? I mean, all these guys, had their time where they headed into the draft. Most of them, I believe, were in the combine. And I feel like it's time for that new era. And Justin, it starts now. And you know what, Dewey Nation, this is really a beginner's guide, I would say, Justin, to kind of fantasy football, right? Because you do win with some rookies, right? You get a Bucky Irvin here and there. You get a rookie Odell Beckham Jr. You get, Jahmyr Gibbs, 2 seasons ago. I mean, these guys, Jamar Chase, you can forget about his rookie season. These are guys that win you fantasy leagues. So this is a beginner's guide, essentially, Justin.
Yeah, and what gets me extra excited about this season is the vast amount of talent at the skilled player position. So for those that are maybe uncertain of what the draft class looks like with players coming in, this running back class this year is stacked. You will see, obviously, there's a couple of top names, Ashton being one of them. Moving on, when we have our round 2 mocks, you'll actually see a lot of them go. But running backs are stacked this year. Wide receivers are stacked this year. And there's a handful of very solid tight ends. A couple first-round talents, a couple second-round talents. And then where it kind of falls off is, unfortunately, at the quarterback position, in my opinion. There are a couple headliners, and then it kind of slows down as we get through the first and second couple of rounds. But let's start at the top of this draft. And for this mock draft, I will be the odd picker, and Genoa will be for the evens. And we start with the Tennessee Titans here. And a lot of what they've been saying that we've been hearing from Coach Brian Callahan is they want to go with the generational talent. Now, to me, that tells me nothing because any player you're going to pick with the number one overall pick, whether you believe it or not, is going to be what you say is generational talent. So a lot of critics and analysts are saying maybe these quarterbacks aren't generational talents compared to like a Joe Burrow year or CJ Stroud or stuff like that. But you look at this team and they got Will Levis. Will Levis ain't leading them anywhere, and I don't see any free agents that they want to rely on heading into next season. And so that's leading me to pick Cam Ward as the number 1 overall player. PFF doesn't believe so, but I believe he was obviously, he didn't win Heisman, but he was such a phenomenal transfer from Washington State to Miami, led them to have a great season. And really that's all the Hurricanes had. They had a great offense and no defense. And Cam Ward showed out, and I think he's the number 1 pick.
Yeah, Justin, honestly, I absolutely agree with you. I think this might be where I go next week if we were to switch, from odds to even. I just think that Cam Ward, he's got it all, to be honest, as a franchise quarterback. He just feels like a franchise quarterback. Just I can't explain it to you. Now he's not an Andrew Luck potential, a number one pick overall. I do think that he has better upside than what Jameis was as a number one pick. Maybe a little bit more than Kyler. I know Kyler was very sensational at Oklahoma. I think he has a better upside than Baker Mayfield when he was number one pick overall. Looking through better than maybe Trevor Lawrence as a number one pick for sure. Joe Burrow. I think they're about the same. I think Joe Burrow and Cam Ward are about the same as far as franchise guys, in my opinion. Now, Joe Burrow's ahead, obviously, in years, but I think that's like the best comparison as far as a team looking to rebuild. This team a couple years ago, once upon a time, was competitive with Mike Vrabel as head coach. Now they get Callahan. It's kind of what Cincinnati did. Callahan was, I believe, in Cincinnati, and I feel like he needs to get his franchise guy, get you Cam Ward. I mean, looking at what he was able to do this year with Miami, only 7 interceptions there. Really good, not turning over the ball. 4,000 yards passing. He's 6'2". He has 39 passing touchdowns. I think, Justin, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think I like the connection with him and Ridley. Even the guy that kind of flashed at the end, was it Ikene Westbrook, the receiver?
Nick Westbrook.
Nick Westbrook Ikene, yes. I think maybe if they keep him around next year and he's healthy, maybe that's a breakout candidate with Cam Ward. I don't know what's his free agency status. I don't know if he stays, he gets cut. Who knows? It's a ton of time, especially if it's the Titans looking to rebuild. But Justin, you can also get a receiver in the second or third round.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? Tennessee is back on it. They got Tajay Spears out the backfield. They have Pollard there under contract. So why not get you a franchise guy? Who else are you going to get? Why trade back? The only way I understand if you traded back is if you ended up with Travis Hunter, which we'll get to in a second, Justin. But, Justin, I feel like with Cam Ward, he is a franchise guy. He, to me, is the number one pick overall, especially if you're the Titans. Maybe the Titans are obviously looking to make offers, but it's still early to say who's number one. For me, I feel like if it's the Titans, they're number one. Give me Cam Ward just because of their situation in particular.
All right, what do you got for Cleveland? Moving on to 2.
All right, so for Cleveland, Justin, I would say, look, Myles Garrett is pretty much out of there, right? Our guy wants to be with the contending team. His heart's not really in Cleveland. And reports today was official, Justin. He's officially slammed the door. I'm reading here on a return to Cleveland. So that's it. They're over. And you know what, with Justin, unfortunately, the Browns have a contract situation with Deshaun Watson. And I feel like, obviously they probably don't want to work it out, maybe, but you still spend a lot of money. See what you can do, I guess. I know it sounds crazy, but just bear with me first. I'm gonna go with Abdul Carter here, and I feel like he, obviously he has his own situation with a surgery there. I'm not sure what the surgery is. I think I read too fast. What is it, pec or?
It's just shoulder, I think.
Shoulder. Okay. Here's the deal. I like Abdul Carter. He literally reminds me of Micah Parsons. I know they wear the same 11, Penn State. I know. I just they still have a Von Miller feel to them, and I feel like eventually these players that have these. I've noticed the Eagles have been able to win a Super Bowl with this. Just these players that are kind of dinged up going into the draft, and they're not really fond of them, and then they go out and have a great Super Bowl performance going after the greatest quarterback of this era, right? Not what I'm saying, in the Super Bowl. I feel like with the Browns, they need to start over. They're losing Garrett. It's a no-brainer. Looking at the quarterbacks here, if Cam Ward is already gone, you still got Dylan Gabriel. I know Shedeur will be probably gone. You still got Milroe, Howard, fresh off of Natty. You got Riley Leonard, who was in that very same game. You got Jackson Dart and Quinn Ewers and so on and so on. So I feel like with Cleveland, if they want to go quarterback, they have tons of time to do it. Replace your franchise guy. By the way, Myles Garrett, another former number one pick overall. Justin, you got to replace him. And I'm going to be consistent with that. I feel like if Tennessee does trade back with Cleveland, then go with Cam Ward. I feel like Cam Ward is for me, it's him and Abdul Carter. But since Abdul is kind of hurt, I feel like he is an easy second or third pick.
I all the reasons you gave, I completely agree and understand. Now, you're right. Myles Garrett is going to be on his way out at some point, and they need to replace that position. And Abdul Carter is the perfect replacement in the draft, a top pick. I just the stance I'm at is the fact that who is going to play quarterback for this Browns team, and that's really where they've struggled. They've always had a really solid defense, but it's where the quarterback position has really let them down. And that's why I think I would I think they should go quarterback in this position. But I completely see what you're saying. Abdul Carter is arguably the best talent in skill out of any player in this draft. So I understand where you're coming from. We'll move to 3 with the Giants. And the Giants, you could say they do need a quarterback now pretty bad. But I have a feeling that they're going to trade for a savvy veteran by the name of Matthew Stafford. And when they do so, they're not going to need to go quarterback at 3 overall. And what they're going to do instead is go Travis Hunter and get themselves a wide receiver or a cornerback or both, because he is the Swiss Army knife of the NFL. And he's coming in saying he wants to play both sides of the ball. Obviously, I'm a little bit of a skeptic that he can play both sides of the ball effectively as a top guy. But either way, he's a really great wide receiver and a really great cornerback. And the Giants, I mean that would sell. That jersey would sell. Travis Hunter in a Giants uniform. What do you think?
Justin, I love it. I mean, bring out the popcorns there at MetLife Stadium. Start spreading the news, New York, baby. Let's do it. Let's go all in for Travis Hunter, Justin. You know what? Let's tell him, Justin or Travis, you can make more money playing wide receiver. Just letting you know. And let's have Travis Hunter.
Oh yeah.
Let's have Malik Neighbors. And you know what, Justin? Throw any quarterback, not Daniel Jones. But you know what? I have a different prediction as far as where they go quarterback. But you know what? Go ahead and get you a Matthew Stafford. I like a Matthew Stafford, Brian Dable kind of relationship here. I think Stafford is as tough as nails. And Dable needs that veteran guy to kind of learn from. So I feel like, Stafford has a year or two, really, if he really does in this league. I love it, Justin. Stafford has shown when he has one good receiver, he can do good. And he's won you a Super Bowl. He's been behind 2 historic receiving seasons as a starting quarterback. And you know what, Justin? He will have Travis Hunter and Malik Neighbors. What sweet fireworks will be made right across the sea there up in East Rutherford there. And man, I would love that, Justin. And you know what? I would kind of think maybe New York if they want a quarterback. I think Shedeur does fit New York, but you know what, Justin? You have a lot of quarterback, free agency. I mean, you can throw in a Darnold in New York. I mean, hey, you can get a Dylan Gabriel in the 4th or 5th round, maybe a Milroe, maybe a Will Howard. I mean, Justin, what if we're really not talking about Will Howard? What if he's a really exceptional 4th round pick? A Kirk Cousins, a better Kirk Cousins, a Matt Ryan kind of feel to him. You know what I'm saying, Justin? So I feel like you can probably end up with that and still end up with Travis Hunter. For me, at the 4th pick, I'm going to go with – this is really interesting. Now, I know the Patriots do have Ramondre Stevenson. I'm so tempted to go Jeanty here, Justin. I don't know if you approve, but, I mean, looking at who's available here, I mean, obviously McMillan is pretty good out of Arizona. And you got Mason Graham there, and I go Vabro might want to get a – but you know what, Justin? I think I might do it. I think that you kind of know what you have Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like, yes, he's good, but we need some popcorn there in New England. We need some, new talent. And I'm going to go with Jeanty there. And I'm gonna just have them make a splash. They already got their franchise quarterback, and Travis Hunter has already been picked. So let's go with Jeanty there. That's kind of the best available player. Mind you, last thing, Vrabel was really good with Derrick Henry.
I think that's super interesting. And he is by far the best running back in the class, probably the best running back we've seen come into the draft over the last few years. I really like it. I hadn't seen that yet, Ashton to the Patriots at 4, but I think that would be really fun and really help Drake May grow in the offense that they're building. So I like that there. I'm really interested in that. We moved to 5, and this one's kind of tough, and it's between 2 options for me. It's between Mason Graham of the Michigan Wolverines and Tet McMillan of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of the Arizona, the Wildcats?
Yep.
The thing is, so they have Brian Thomas Jr. We love that. And Liam Cohen would just love to have another alpha wide receiver in that offense to really make Trevor Lawrence have his best season yet. So that's where I could see it happening. But also, they need some big help on the defense, especially at that interior defensive line. And Mason Graham is one of the most consistent players in this draft class. He's a national championship winner. Is he the pick I'm going to go with here? I am going to go with Mason Graham, especially with a lot of the rumblings I've heard throughout the combine and everything. Mason Graham and Jacksonville has been like a spot. What do you have at 6 with the Raiders?
I'm gonna go with. I feel like the Raiders need some offensive talent. So looking at the quarterbacks here, uh, there's not too many impressive ones that are first round pick. So I think the Raiders go wide receiver here. It's Tom Brady there. I think he knows his stuff. He wants firepower. So let's go with Mika Egbuka out of Ohio State, reigning national champion there to pair along with Brock Bowers.
All right. So we know Egbuka. He has been there for, well, I think he was there all 4 years of his college career. And obviously, you're an Ohio State product. That sounds really good. Hopefully, he has a good combine to build up his draft stock. I know he's going in that like mid-teens range, but getting that Ohio State that talent, you got McLaurin, you got Olave, you got Garrett Wilson. You've had some really big names from Ohio State, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they've all hit. So I really like that there, Mika Egbuka. With the Jets here, they need quarterback, and they would love to have themselves some Shedeur Sanders. It could keep Garrett Wilson in. I know there's been rumors maybe he's going to request a trade or move out. I really think that bringing in Shedeur, obviously they said no more Aaron Rodgers, so they definitely need that quarterback position filled. And hey, when you got Travis Hunter also in New York, flip side, another New York gets his teammate in Shedeur Sanders. What do you think? And then you can take your pick after.
Yeah, Justin, I kind of wanted that to go that way. I still think maybe Shador goes to Vegas, but I like Mika Ibuka, and I predict that Stafford is already in Vegas, so that's why I
Yeah.
went there, Dewey Nation. But the Jets there going Shador, I feel like it's money. I feel like it's a fresh start there with Aaron Glenn. I love it. For me, for Carolina, you know what? I want to go defensive player so bad, Justin. But the way Bryce Young ended the season, he needs some talent there. So let's go with Tyler Warren, tight
Oh,
end out of Penn State. Uh, you get your guy a pass catcher, kind of like what the Raiders did last year. They got Bowers, and he was had a great year. He didn't have a quarterback, but the Panthers have a quarterback. I think that they need to get them a tight end, and now Bryce Young has his top target.
no, yeah, I like that. And Tyler Warren's one of the best pass blocking tight ends in this draft class. And also he can catch the rock like no other. I think
Yeah.
Bryce Young, he's missing that like security blanket, and that would be perfect for him. I
Mm-hmm.
like that there for the Panthers. Moving to 9 with the Saints. Kellen Moore's their new head coach, which makes me think they want to look into the offensive side of things. And you got Tech McMillan, Luther Burden really staring right at me. Which of these talents do I want? I'm thinking I'm going to go Tech McMillan because it's somebody that the Saints don't really have yet. You got Rashid Shaheed, who's the speed like crazy, and then you got Chris Olave, the possession receiver. That kind of fits into the Luther Burden mold more, and that's why Tech McMillan, a bigger wide receiver, kind of like a Galladay. He kind of reminds me of Kenny Galladay in Detroit, not in New York, but Kenny Galladay in Detroit, and I think that'd be a good fit there. What do you have at 10 for the Bears?
I think that with this new era in Chicago, they got to protect their franchise quarterback. So let's go with Will Campbell out of LSU. There, get them a tackle. They already got a nice running back there. They got a franchise quarterback. Their defense is solid. Why not build with the O line through this draft and Ben Johnson's first pick?
I really like that pick. That's one of the biggest needs for the Bears this offseason. And yeah, why not help adding to protect your star quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Going to the 49ers. This one's a tough one for me. I could see them going cornerback Jahdae Barron. I could see them going wide receiver, especially if they move on from Deebo Samuel. I can also see James Pierce, which are all, conveniently enough, the top 3 picks here. What am I going to do? What do I want to do here? Because they're all 3 really great talents. And I think I'm going to go with Jahdae Barron from the Longhorns. Now, if you look at the 49ers this offseason, their star cornerback, Charvarius Mooney Ward, is a free agent and is possibly heading out of town. We don't know. He's one of the top. I think he's actually the top cornerback in the free agent market. So teams are going to be ready to put their checkbooks down for him. And that's why I got Jahdae at 11. Who you got to the Cowboys at 12?
Justin, I feel like they might go O-line because they've kind of historically done this. But you know what? For the sake of the Cowboys, I feel like, they have a new era there. They want to get Dak Prescott a target. And not to mention that, hey, early in this draft, Ginty got picked. So let's go with Luther Bird in there. I feel like Jerry Jones is good with that. He gets, his investment at quarterback, another wide receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I would pick him in fantasy because I love me some Luther Burden. I actually saw him in person at an A&M game, and he took a touchdown 70 yards to the house.
Yep.
So I think that's a great pick there. And you're right. They're missing that. They have CeeDee Lamb, and that's really about it in that receiving game. So Luther Burden's a great pick. For the Dolphins, they can go a couple directions. It's either O-line or it's safety. So to me, it's either Malachi Starks or, oh my God, where's my boy? Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker has been touted as the Will Anderson of the offense.
Ooh.
And hey, we know Will Anderson has got some serious goods for the Texans. Why not get a leader on the offensive end and Tyler Booker for the Dolphins? What do you have at 14?
14. Wow. Okay. So for Tyler Booker, you know what, Justin, with the Colts, I'm thinking that they need a defensive player. They need a star player on their defense. So let's go with James Pierce out of Tennessee. I
Okay.
feel like that fits Indianapolis right now. And you know what? I think that they can build a defense from there.
Yeah, no, James Pierce, actually, as of a year ago when they were doing early mock drafts, he was touted as one of the top 3 players in the draft. He didn't have a great senior year, or I guess a junior year, but hey,
Mhm.
he's great. And if you saw him today at the combine, he was the fastest amongst these big 200 something plus pound men.
Mhm.
So I think he's great. I'm actually going to go with another guy who really killed it today in the combine, and Shamar Stewart of my Texas A&M Aggies. If you saw his broad jump, oh my goodness, Shamar Stewart's going to be a great piece. And there's already news out that the Falcons are literally only looking to the defense. They want to build up that defense for next year. What do you have at 16?
You know what, Justin, for the Cardinals, it's really interesting. I do think that they need a D lineman. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think they need a linebacker. They do need something on the offensive line help. So it's really can go either way here for Arizona. There's a lot of really good options here. Let's go with Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. I know they need some offensive line, maybe some D line help, but I do think that they need a star on their defense as well going forward.
Yeah, a Bama defensive talent
Can't go
sounds
wrong.
good.
Mhm.
And actually, we got 3 in a row, guys who absolutely killed it in the combine today. Jahad Campbell was one of those guys as
Mhm.
well. I love that there. To the Bengals, another team to me that really needs defense, especially interior defensive line. And that's going to lead me to Walter Nolan of Ole Miss, the Ole Miss Rebels. He used to be an Aggie and was a baller, a leader on the D line, especially amongst guys like Edrin Cooper, who was a great player last year. He was on that team with Walter Nolan, as well as Shamar Stewart, and a guy also in this draft class. Oh, he actually wasn't on Nick Scorin's team, but I really like me some Walter Nolan at 17, and they need interior D-line. What do you got in Seattle at 18?
Yeah, Justin, there's so many ways Seattle could go here. I feel like looking at what they have already, right, Justin? They have a pretty good secondary. I'm looking at it right now. It's not too bad. They got Devon Witherspoon, Tyler Hall, Darren Williams. And I think they need to go a defensive back here. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Obviously, a couple years ago, you lost, what's his name? I forgot the safety that
Jamal
out of
Adams?
LSU.
Oh,
Yeah, Jamal Adams. And they've been trying to replace that. They haven't really had they have Kobe Bryant, not Kobe the corner, Julian Love, and I think it's time for them to get a secondary. So I'm looking here. I think I'm going to go with Will Johnson here,
yeah.
out of Michigan. I feel like they need some secondary help, and their coach is obviously a former defense coordinator. So I feel like he wants to beef up that defense going forward.
No, I love it. And he is just like James Pierce, a guy we talked about a few minutes ago, a guy that was
Mm-hmm.
touted as a top 5 to 7 player in the draft. He didn't have the best year. He was injured this past year. But hey, he's still a first round talent. I like that there. At 19, the Buccaneers need a pass rusher, and the guy right here staring at me, Mike Green, one of the best standouts of the Senior Bowl about a month ago. And to me, if you look in the past, Senior Bowl stars become NFL stars. Mike Green's a great play there. Who do you have for the Broncos at 20?
Justin, this is actually I would love for this to happen. I think you would too at fantasy. But go ahead and go to the running backs because I think Sean Payton is going with Cam Scatterbo out of
Ooh.
Arizona State. You part ways with Javonte Williams. You obviously know what you got with the other backs. I know we've talked about Audric Estime. He could be good next year. I do still like him. But you know what, Justin? I feel like Sean Payton, he's going to want to get some talent on that offense. He knows he's going to be in that loaded division. Scatterboo there, a Bronco. And you know what? I love it.
I think that's really good. I mean, they definitely need running back pretty badly. What we saw last year was not something we want to see moving forward. And Cam Scatterbo, he was doing great on the biggest stages in the college football playoffs. So I like that there. For 21 for the Steelers, this is a tough one for me because I could see them going wide receiver. They only have George Pickens and they have Roman Wilson from last year. It says they need quarterback, but I really do think they'll bring back and start Russell Wilson. Do I think they could go cornerback? I could, but I'm going to lean into the wide receiver to help beef up this offense. I'm going to go with Matthew Golden of the
Mm.
Texas Longhorns, a really solid wide receiver that could be a perfect complement to George Pickens. What do you have, though, for the Chargers at 22?
Man, this is going to be a tough one there because I feel like, Harbaugh's going to go defense. Uh, you know, let me go with, you know what? Let's go with a Michigan guy. I mean, it's Harbaugh. Let's go with Kenneth Grant there. I just feel like they're going to want to beef up that D line just a little bit, and that's how Harbaugh drafts pretty much.
Yeah, and they might be out. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack could be out of Los Angeles
Yeah.
heading into next year. I know this is interior line, D line, but they need some defensive line help. I could
Hmm.
see it for sure. Yeah, moving to Green Bay. The big story to me though with Green Bay as of the last 24 hours is Jair Alexander is being put into trade talks, which would be a crazy thing to see. But also another storyline is, are they really good at wide receiver? Because they have really four names in Wicks, Watson, Reed, and Dobbs, but none of them are real stars that really move me. And then you have a great talent like Michael Williams standing right there, who I think could even go higher than this. I think we already missed him. I'm not going to let him slide anymore. I'm going to go with Michael Williams here to the Packers to really help that defense. What do you have for 24 for the Vikings?
Justin, I just want to say I think Green Bay would trade that pick. I don't think they're satisfied with anybody there.
Yeah.
For Minnesota, I think that they want to add to that secondary. So let's go with Malachi Starks there out of Georgia. I feel like that would be a perfect fit for them. Their defense was really good. I think it was under Brian Flores. And I feel like they just want to add another piece and make it even better.
I like it. I like it a lot. That Starks is one of by far the best safety and like by a wide margin too in this draft. So I think that's good. Moving to the Texans, there's two options for the Houston Texans: O line or wide receiver. There's no wide receiver staring at me right here, but a top guy that I think could be great is Texas Longhorns offensive tackle, and he can also play guard in Kelvin Banks Jr.
Mhm.
Shaq Mason's not getting it done. The only real guy and piece that I think you can keep on this offense is Laramie Tunsil. But everybody else I think is changeable. And I think Kelvin Banks, a first round O lineman, would be perfect for Houston. What do you have for the Rams though at 26?
Justin, this one is tough because you don't know what the Rams are going to do because they might, let's see, in my prediction, I think they get Aaron Rodgers. They depart with Matt Stafford. But, I just feel like something tells me they just got the defensive rookie of the year on the D line. This is really tough. Let's go with Jalen Walker. I want to say they go offensive lineman to get Josh Simmons. But you know what? I just think that they go with Jalen Walker. They want to beef up that defense behind those, rookies that were good this past season.
Yeah, and the two rookies they hit on, and Jared Verse, an edge rusher, Braden Fisk, an interior D lineman, and why not have Jalen Walker as the star
Hmm.
linebacker? That'd be a great
Hmm.
trio. Moving to the Ravens for me, I think they're going to attack the offensive line. They have a handful of free agents, and there's some really good pieces here, especially Armand Mimbo. He's a guy that I've been watching and listening, and he's been talked about being going in the top 15 in some mock drafts. So this would be a great pick for the Ravens. Who do you have for the Lions though at 28?
Oh man, this is a really good one, Justin. You know what? I would think that they. I don't know. I think they go O line, but I don't know if like
I could see them going somebody to complement Aiden Hutchinson, especially him coming off the injury, possibly.
Yeah, I think they go interior. They get Derek Carmen. I know their Let's go with Derek Carmen out of Oregon. I know their defensive line is already good, but I feel like Dan Campbell wants to beef it up. They're not happy with their performance against Washington. They want to add some more pieces to it.
I like it. I like it. For the Commanders, I think they're in the space where they're either going wide receiver or they're beefing up the defense like crazy. I think their cornerback room needs one more guy, but there's really nobody at this spot that I think would go there. So that makes me look at the defense. Or there's Trey Amos, but he's more to me. He's more second round guy. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Nick Scorton of the Texas A&M Aggies. He was actually the leader on the defense for this team, and he's huge. I mean, he's a huge guy. Would be perfect if they miss out on Myles Garrett. That'd be perfect for them to get an edge rusher like Nick Scorton. Who do you have though at 30 for the Bills?
Ah, man, that's a good one. Let's get them a linebacker. I think they go Demetrius Knight there. I think the Bills' defense has been kind of weak lately, especially their linebacking crew. I know they've had Milano and a couple others for the past couple years, but they need that game changer. They need their quarterback of the defense. They have the MVP, the quarterback of the offense, but they need to find that quarterback of the defense to take the next level, to go up to the Super Bowl. So give me Knight there for the Bills.
Gotcha. Okay, I like that. I like that. They definitely need some linebacker. And we'll see. I know Von Miller. I know he's an edge rusher slash linebacker, outside linebacker. That they might have to replace. So I think that's good there for the Chiefs and the Eagles. So the Chiefs particularly, I could see O line. I could see running back. I could see that Nick Bolton's a free agent. So they could be linebacker. But I could see, I really like me some Omarion Hampton of the UNC Tar Heels. I could see
Ooh.
that big time.
Or
I could also,
Henderson.
yeah, Travion would be great. But I could also see O line because if you saw that Super Bowl, I mean, they were
Yeah.
getting thrashed. I'm gonna go with Gray Sable of
Okay.
North Dakota State. He is also a guy similar to Mike Green who killed the Senior Bowl. Actually, didn't allow any pressures or sacks in the Senior Bowl for the whole week they were there. So I think that's great. And I'm gonna go with Gray Sable. Who do you got for the Eagles?
I mean, honestly, Howie Roseman can just close his eyes and pick and just, yeah, I'll take him. And he'd be get better off. I think that, hey, you know what? Let's beef up this offensive line some more. We got Saquon. We got the tush push. I don't care if you're going to try to ban it. We need some more people to beef up. So let's go with Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon. I think I'm saying his last name right.
That's good.
And you know what? I love it. They got the D line. They got the secondary. They got a rookie with a pick six in the Super Bowl. So, of course, let's beef up that O line.
There we go. All right, Josh Connerly. We end the first round. Our first mock draft is now complete.
Screenshot.
Yeah, I know. I will. Yeah, I know for real. We got
Or
Cam
Dewey
Ward.
Nation.
Yeah, no, Dwayne Nation, check it out. You got the first round. Give us your thoughts. We got some big name. I mean, I would love to see the fantasy talk after this draft with Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter as a Giant, Ashton Genty as a Patriot, Emeka Egbuka as a wide receiver one for the Raiders, Tet McMillan as the possible wide receiver one for a Kellen Moore-led offense. Luther Burden to the Cowboys would be awesome to talk about. And then some really big pieces. Abdul Carter replacing Myles Garrett. You got some big names, Nick Score and Shamar Stewart. This is a great draft. That was super fun to run through with you, my brother. Cam Scatabo is the new starting running back for the Broncos. But Dwayne Nation, good enough for everybody. We still have a lot more to come. We're going to be discussing some quarterbacks, some running backs, some wide receivers, some tight ends. Some free agency is also on the way after the combine, and we're going to put in our predictions over the next week or two. So stay tuned for that, and also stay tuned for our weekly NFL mock drafts. But thank you guys for listening. Drop your thoughts, subscribe, like, share, all the good things. And Genoa, send us out.
Yo, Dwayne Nation, this was our first round mock draft of the season heading into this 2025 draft. We're excited. I mean, this is a new era of football. We're excited to see, who are the next stars of fantasy, and we're going to be the next stars. They're going to be winning Super Bowls there. So we love you guys. Thanks for watching. And as always,
Peace.